Oh, what's wrong with this picture? I'm driving a car, 1984, furnished by Hustler publisher Larry Flint. I'd been in a political campaign to replace a doctor that I had written about, Larry McDonald, who went down in that KAL crash from Juneau, Alaska to Seoul, South Korea, August the 31st of 83. So now then, I'm flown out to Mr. Flint's home because he helped me in the campaign to replace Larry McDonald. And he did an article, Larry Flint did, about me. I usually show it the April issue of 1984. And in it, he stated that I knew who was responsible for his shooting in Lawrenceville, Georgia. That's when, in 1978, when I was doing the book on MD License to Kill. And it was about programming people, if you want to call them Manchurian candidate. It makes them sound bad. They're really victims themselves. And that's hard to get through to people. These are total victims. But anyway, I mean, you can cure cancer, and you can use mind control to force people to do anything. It's a total lie that you can't force them against their will to do something. That's what's helped perpetrate all. Let me just get to this because I'm pretty sick this morning. I've really vertigo and all that from how I've lived. But what I wanted to say, what was wrong with the picture? I'm in Grottoes, Virginia, pumping gas at an Exxon store for the Reinicas. And I live in a trailer that a Terry's. There's so, remember, I'm going to get to this. That Terry was the name of the trailer, okay? And it was one of those small campers, and they furnished that for me to live in while I worked pumping gas and I cooked. But at the same time, I've got the Hustler car because I can't afford gas, and it's parked there at an Exxon station by their house. Later, I turned it back in when the lease was up. But during that time, an FBI agent that had been in Huntsville and knew my husband, and I'd met him. This is years ago in 1962, 3, 4, that period of time. My husband worked for Brown Engineering, but this is FBI. Later, he's up there in Grottoes, and he comes in. And the store many times, so he said he was retired. And he'd just buy gas usually, but he came into the store one day and he told me, he said, he's a retired FBI agent. He said, they made it so ludicrous that people can help you walk away. He's talking about the FBI. And they walked as quick as they could, most of them. But, so what's wrong with that picture? A Hustler magazine editor who shot in Lawrenceville while I'm doing a book, and then the doctor, and by the way, the doctors tried to shut me up April Fool Day of 80 and kill me. So, but this doctor goes down in a plane a few years later, and Mr. Flint flies me out there in special election, furnishes me a car, and now I'm up in Grottoes, Virginia. Can't get a job other than pumping gas and working in a small convenience store for a while, about a year, I guess. But anyway, the point I was going to make, my kids used to say, get to the point, Mom, or you'll forget what you're trying to say. I ended up in here, my way of dealing with things is humor. I try to, what else can I do? I'd cry or scream. Anyway, I came up here in October of 86 to Roanoke. And I'm going to skip part of it. It's just an episode out of what happened to me. I stayed at a place called Tap because they threw me to the wind and everything happened to me. And I'd never had anything but pain anyway. But this was a different kind. I was just thrown out there, sink or swim. Well, that happened after they almost killed me April Fool's Day of '80, and that was Larry McDonald, doctor, and a bunch of doctors. Okay, but anyway, out of Atlanta. But anyway, I'm homeless, and I'm having to stay in. Oh, what was the name of it? It was. Gosh, it was out by the railroad track, Schaefer's Crossing, and it was TAP area. Well, anyways, homeless shelter, and I went. Let me say this: who did I meet there? Well, I don't know why I even brought that up, really, but I ended up um, going out and living to have a place to live because I was shut down. You know, I know what I was going to say first. I went to the FBI office, POF building downtown, Federal building, Roanoke, and I was doing this thing because I had been to the FBI in Atlanta and knew them and got a letter from them. I'd been down there many times, so I knew some of the agents, and I even got a letter on going investigation, national security involved, and that was in 1979, June the 23rd. So anyway, I'm up here in Roanoke and staying at the rescue mission, which, by the way, Jack Hartsfield, a reporter, FBI agent, in '80 when I was almost killed, he gave me a book, um, War We Control by Lincoln Lawrence. It was removed from the shelf, but he had one, and I had it with me at the rescue mission. This is way back, probably 1987. I still had the book, and I was staying there. And you could only stay a few days, and they'd make you go out and look for a job, and you couldn't tell them that your jobs were blocked. You couldn't tell them any of this, or they'd just call you nuts. Even though I had the Hustler endorsement, and at a time I had a letter from the FBI, two of them. So I had stuff on me while running the campaign, but it didn't matter. You weren't supposed to talk about it. So anyway, one of the girls there wanted to read the book, so I let her read it. I was afraid of losing it. And what she did with is I got the book back, and she went to the person running the mission, rescue mission, and told them that book and what I was talking about scared them. So they called me out on the deck one day and told me that I'd have to leave, that I was scaring the residents. Can you believe this? Now that I left. So I'm going to jump to the next time. I went to the POF building twice, but downtown, the FBI agents, the first time I went, you can't get to them. They're barricaded back there behind doors. If they don't want to see you, you're not going to see them. So anyway, I got through to him this time, and when I went in, the FBI agent introduced me and said, "This is so and so with the Roanoke Times." Well, I can't remember the rest of it, but the point being, what the Roanoke Times wrote some articles about me, but they didn't tell the truth about my kidnapping and who I am, Margaret Ann Windsor. Queen Victoria, the day I was born. My father's Edward VIII, who was married to Claudia Ruth O'Keefe Windsor. It was a total lie about marrying Wallace Simpson. A double did, and I was born in '39, kidnapped in '41. Brought to Moulton, Alabama, and given another name. I put all this up. So I'm back to where I'm trying to tell this, and I'm not feeling too good this morning. I got vertigo and my eardrum's busted over here, and I'm in a hell of a shape. So um, I went back to I went back to the POF building again, well, more than once, and you couldn't get in. And this time they let me in, and I had to sit out in the area there. It's just a little bench kind of thing. So the agent came out, and he sat beside me, and he's doing things like, this whole thing is like, oh, that's just crazy. This doesn't happen. And people they don't want to admit what the government's doing or anything, especially with me because I'm British. My mom was American, but I mean, I'm British. They kidnapped me and brought me over here, and they have tortured the hell out of me and my sons, who I don't know. They separated us years ago, and I can't find them. But anyway, this FBI agent came out, and he sat down, and I was telling him, in case he didn't know, but he did, about being in Atlanta and the FBI, and they had an investigation and all this. I'd done the book. And I said, by the way, there's birth certificates of twins where I was kidnapped and brought over here. In the state of Alabama, it just marked through the dates of the twins and inserted the date that was given me because it didn't jive, the date I'd used all my life. So the state of Alabama just simply fixed that by marking through the date of birth of the twins and putting the date they'd given me, which is illegal. Right on the birth certificates, it states you can't alter them in any way. It's illegal. So all this stuff has been done, and I'm still sitting here praying that I get the truth told about my father, who I am, and the SOBs. Half of them are dead, but it's still happening, are judged appropriately, and only God can do that. Believe me, the pain and suffering and law is broken. But anyway, the FBI agent is sitting there, and by the way, they don't get a great salary, okay? And their job gets pretty hectic too, and then some of them get out of line. But he was sitting there, and he was talking to me. I said something about the certificates, birth certificates, and like he didn't know, okay? And he starts waving both hands like this. Oh, we don't want to hear about birth certificates, nothing about them. Like he's crazy, okay? An FBI is just sitting there waving both hands, getting frantic, or pretending to. He said, well, to tell you what, you're out there camping on the Appalachian Trail in the National Forest. I'll send one of my best agents out there to talk to you. Well, the person that showed up out there was named Robert. Never had a last name. He was not just an FBI agent, he was U.S. Marshal. Now, you've got him out on the Appalachian Trail helping carry my stuff. I carried it all the time, and believe me, it was hard to get water. I froze, I starved, and everything. But you got this federal agent out there, and he's got a backpack on at times, and he's dragging stuff in a coffee pot. I mean, I couldn't get anything. I'd get it if I managed to buy it, and then I'd have to go to the forest to live, and I'd lose it. So anyway, what's wrong with this picture? Well, you can just say it's crazy and you don't believe it if you don't want to, and unless it's prosecuted, and it has to be told. So anyway, Robert's been there on and off, so I got locked up. They meant to. They were told to do what they did. It was Eric Smith was a ranger, and it was I can't remember Kathy's last name. I should remember. But then there was Woody, as in Woody Harrelson played Larry Flint. This is what they're doing with it, and it connects the names. So you got Woody, and they take me to jail for living in the National Forest. And the U.S. Attorney prosecuted it, and I spent, I don't know, I think it was a month in jail. And here's the deal now. When I get out of jail, there's more to it. I'm going to, because I can get some people in trouble that tried to help me, okay? And I don't want to do that. But anyway, I was released, and I had nowhere to go. I mean, kept homeless. This is what Larry Flint said when I was out there the last time in October in the campaign of '83. First time he took me all around his home there in Bel Air. Well, he didn't. He just took me straight to the lily pad room. So you've got something to do with the meaning of lily pad and all this, and the timeline and all this. So anyway, I was in there, stayed, went back to Atlanta, went back out there. It was election day, October 16th, I think, of 83. Well, he had paid for me to come out there and all that, and, or I guess the campaign did. But anyway, I now then he's got me out there, and I don't have a place to stay. No room in the inn. INN or END, whatever you want to say. Journeys in, whatever. No room in the inn's what he said. Well, that proved true. I was shut down. Couldn't get a place to stay, nothing except the National Forest. All I needed was a place to stay where I could breathe and at least be alive. But anyway, I resorted to going to National Forest, and that was all meant to be. It wasn't funny. I actually stayed in jail for a month. And when it was time to leave, um, I got in the car with them, and it looked like kind of like I believe it was a black car, looked like a limousine. So here they are. You can laugh at it or cry. It was really horrible. But I got in the car with them, and I'm trying to think of the timeline. The one driving the car was U.S. Marshal, I think, or did they have FBI on their back in their hats? Anyway, on this side is Robert of him in the front seat. I'm in the middle, and over here I don't know who he is. He's an agent. They all were. Now then, on this side, it shocked me because this guy, he's a black gentleman, and he had been at the TAP, TLC, Schaefer's Crossing, when I stayed there. I just told about that. And he was there while I was there, and he was mopping the floors and cleaning. And the odd thing was he had a room to himself. He didn't have to cohabit with other people. He did his job, and he had a room to go to. Although it wasn't fancy, it was the same as, But anyway, he's sitting here, he's an agent himself. I laugh at it because it's horrible, but it's funny. Ludicrous, like the FBI agents set up in grottos. Now then, guess where they're taking me to find me a place to stay? They had even written this up in the Roanoke Times, the mission did, the rescue mission, when they kicked me out and said that I was scaring people, telling about conspiracies in the book that I had, and let somebody read, and they told me I had to leave. Well, guess where they take me back now? And this was put in the Roanoke Times. Now then, here comes me, been in jail, staying on the National Forest. And by the way, they kidnapped me from Buckingham Palace. Brought me over here to a pigsty, Moulton, Alabama, and gave me another name. So anyway, here I am going back, and the U.S. Marshals, I know two of them. It seemed like they had one of them was FBI on the side. I can't remember that. I can't be sure about that. But this one on this side was the black gentleman, and he was the one that had stayed, and he was doing the floors and everything at TLC TAP. Now then, I get out where they've told me that I'm banned from the rescue mission. Why? I wish people would. There's none of the truth that's come out in me. Well, I'm just living out in the National Forest, and that's illegal. So I stayed there 3 days, and I left on my own. I had the Atlanta Journal call me. They did get through to me, but basically I couldn't get a phone call or, people could have locally helped, and they were told not to, and they didn't. So I froze and I starved, and I was on the Appalachian Trail, couldn't get a home. I went back up there. Where else